What's happening, everybody? Welcome back to the channel and to another WNBA video. We got a 5-game slate to jump into for Friday, May 30th. So we'll break down and analyze each of those games and talk about which way that I'm leaning as far as the points and the spread. And then any plays that I put in officially myself, make sure you check down there into the pinned comment. You're going to find a link down there that will send you over to the Guy Boston Sports website. That's where all of my final plays are going to live for free. But before we dive into the action for today, let's go ahead and take a look back to Wednesday, what we took in that video and how that ended up going down. And it went pretty good, man. We finished 3-1 on the day. We end up splitting a unit, put 3/4 of a unit on the Mystics, catching 6.5 points, and that cashes because they win that game outright. And we put a quarter unit on the money line at plus 155. Like I said, they win that one outright. So we cash on both of those. We took Sonia Citron over 1.5 3-pointers made, and she doesn't hit a single 3-pointer in this one, so we don't cash there. But we also put a same game parlay in, plus 155 odds. Kiki Irfin, 10 plus points, 8 plus rebounds, and also Sonia Citron plus or 10 plus points as well. So that three-legger does cash for us. So like I said, man, 3-1 on the night. That did put us up one full unit on the day. So we are up 0.73 units back in the green on the year, 28 and 26 overall. Let's keep that good energy rolling right here into this video. Let's keep stacking up on the units and stay green down there, man. I like it when it's green. So let's go ahead and get into it, guys. Let's jump right into the mix. Smash that like button down there for me if you can, and hit subscribe if you have not already. Now, our first game, I don't have a line for it yet. I am recording this one the night before, and the line has not come out yet because the Liberty are still playing the Valkyries as we speak. But we have the Liberty taking on the Mystics. It's going to be a 7:30 p.m. time now. I'm going to assume that the Liberty are favored. By how much, I think will, kind of depend on how the rest of this game shakes out, which has been a lot closer than we anticipated, right? But we can kind of go ahead and break this one down still, and if anything comes out as far as the line's concerned, or the total, that kind of throws anything off from what we talk about here, I'll make a note on the Guy Boston Sports website with my plays, and we'll kind of go over it there. But like I said, let's go ahead and break it down a little bit, man, because the Liberty are coming into this one on a back-to-back after their matchup with the Valkyries. Like I said, Thursday night that was in New York, so they have to travel on a back-to-back to Washington. The Mystics are fresh off of a big win over the Fever with more strong performances from their rookies, Kiki and Sony, and another 20-plus point scoring output from Brittany Sykes. They crushed Indiana on the glass in that one, man, 41-33. But facing this Liberty team, these young Mystics still need to clean up on the offensive end some and limit those turnovers. The 17 turnovers they had against Indiana was a nice drop off compared to the 27 that they gave up to Phoenix their previous time out. But New York is a team that will take full advantage of any mistake that you make. They lead the W in points scored off of turnovers and are also forcing the second most turnovers per game. New York has been far and away the best team in the W to open up the year. They are first in offensive rating, defensive rating, and net rating. Their net rating is almost double that of second place Minnesota. The Mystics have seen their offensive rating dip in the part to their 3-game losing streak prior to that win over the Fever, and turnover issues, man, down to 10th in that regard. But defensively, they are stingy, man. They're sitting at 4th in the W currently for defensive rating. Teams are only shooting 37% from the field, 26% from deep against Washington. Both of those are first in the W. And man, they get up in your face. They play you physical, right? Man, go back and see if you can pull a highlight up of Jade Melbourne. She forced Sophie Cunningham into an offensive foul while she was simply just trying to bring the ball up the court, man. Jade's full court pressure had Sophie scrambling. And that's a perfect example of what we've seen from the Mystics defensive side this season. Scrappy, feisty, and in your face, man. These are two of the best 3-point shooting teams in the league, though, with the Mystics sitting at second for 3-point shooting percentage, the Liberty third. New York leads the W, however, in 3-pointers made per game, and then also overall shooting percentage from the field. Uh, this is one, though, that I would be hesitant to play the Liberty full game. Like I said, we're going to have to see what that number is, but, laying points with them being on a back-to-back that included travel, I don't know, man, but this Mystics team is so young, the youngest in the W. So I worry about them in the closing moments of this one here going up against the defending champs. So this may be a spot that I look at the Mystics in the first half catching some points because end of day, situationally, I like this spot for them better. But this is definitely one that we're going to have to see where that line comes out at, how big of a favorite New York is, and then we'll kind of play it from there. So, like I said, make sure you check down there into the pin comment on this one. I'll have some more info on this game as more info becomes available. But for now, let's go ahead and jump into the next game. That's going to be the Connecticut Sun taking on the Indiana Fever. Fever opened up 10.5-point favorites. That is now up to 12. We saw the total open up at 163.5. That has now dropped to 162.5. We have a 7:30 p.m. tip-off time for this one as well, and we're going to see the Sun on the road for the first of 2 straight here. And then they do have a 1-day rest advantage over the Fever, who are traveling back home for 2 straight of their own. Indiana lost their first game without Clark, though, man, to the upstart Mystics, as we just discussed, and the Sun are coming in off of another blowout loss, this time to the Wings. Connecticut has started the season now 0-5 with back-to-back 20-plus point losses, and they have lost by an average of just over 16 points per game this season. And, mainly it's because they've been atrocious on the offensive end. I can't say mainly. They've been pretty bad everywhere, but on the offensive end, man, shooting only 39% from the field. That's third worst overall. Just 28% from deep. That is second to last. And they are dead last in 3-point field goals made per game. And like I said, defensively, they haven't fared much better. They are allowing the second most points per game at 88 per. They sit just above the Sky at second to last for net rating at negative 21.3. So this line looks high initially, but when you start to look into the Sun, you factor in the Fever are now 2-3, losing 3 of their last 4 by only a total of 9 points altogether. You looked at the fact that they got that first game without Clark out of the way, so they now have some film to review and areas to focus on, to improve entering into this game here. Man, I think the Fever roll, right? They're back home, and I know ticket sales and prices and all that jazz plummeted when Caitlin Clark injury news broke out. But not all Fever fans are just fair weather Clark fans, right? They'll still have the support of the home crowd around them. I think that they rally at home, and we see them take it to the Sun. Connecticut is giving up the second most field goals inside the restricted area as well, and that's not a great look with the likes of Aaliyah Boston and Natasha Howard down low for the Fever. Then you got players like Kelsey Mitchell and Lexi Hall who are great attacking the rim as well. I think we see the Fever get a ton of easy buckets, pile up the points, and win big here in a much-needed win to get some momentum back on their side. So it'd be the Fever laying the points for me. I couldn't look any other way than Indiana here for this one. And then for the total, we saw that offense struggle and go through some ruts against the Mystics, but I expected this with the Fever trying to work through the changes that had come without Clark in the lineup, coupled with that Washington defense, right? I think we see a much more efficient performance out of the Indiana offense today, and I'm not worried about this Connecticut defense in anywhere close to the same manner that I am with the Mystics, right? So initially, I was looking over here, but you got to worry about Connecticut and if they're going to be able to generate enough scoring on their end to contribute to an over. For all the areas and things that Caitlin does to make this team better, defensively, they are actually a better unit without Caitlin on the floor. So we've seen Coach White pull her in closing moments for big defensive possessions, and that is why. So this is one that I'll probably look in to the Fever's team total over instead and just avoid looking at the Sun altogether. And guys, unfortunately, I'm not seeing player props for any game, not any of the 5 games on the slate right now. So gonna have to record this video without any props. And once they become available, I will come over all of those. And like I said, we'll throw that down into the pin comment. If there's enough that it warrants making a video, a short video even, maybe just a short or an Instagram reel, I don't know. We'll go that route. But haven't had the best of lucks with player props so far this season anyways at the beginning of the year. It's always a struggle at the beginning of the season. And this year just feels like a huge struggle, right? So, um, definitely not going to shy away from it. Not going to stop looking at them. We're still going to go over player props and all that jazz. But yeah, I'm not feeling it right now, man. I'm not having fun betting player props at the moment. But like I said, when they become available, I will still go over them. And if I find anything that I like, I will let you guys know, and I'll let you know why. But yeah, full disclosure, having a time, man. So take whatever I say and use that how you please, man. Maybe you want to fade me with the player props. Couldn't blame you right now. But let's get back into the action, guys. Looking at our next game, the Minnesota Lynx taking on the Phoenix Mercury. We've definitely seen some line movement with this one, man. It opened up 4.5. Then I saw it go up to 5 in favor of the Lynx, and now it's down to 3.5, still in favor of the Lynx. And we have the total sitting at 158.5. That hasn't budged one bit. 10 p.m. tip-off time for this one. Man, this has the makings of a really good matchup, in my opinion, with the 4-1 Mercury playing host to the 5-0 undefeated Lynx. That's the last game of a 3-game homestand for Phoenix, and then the first of 2 straight on the road for Minnesota. And I think what makes this one so intriguing is we're getting to see what's been one of the best offenses in the W to open up the year take on what's been one of the best defensive teams. We look at Minnesota, they have an offensive rating of 108.6. That is second in the W, while the Mercury sit at eighth in that regard with a rating of 100.2. Defensively, the Lynx bring in a rating of 98, a middle of the pack seventh, while the Mercury sit at second with a rating of 92.6. And for some more reference there, New York is tops in the W for defensive rating at 92.2. So Phoenix is right there at the top of the league defensively to open up the season. The Lynx are scoring the highest percentage of their points from the mid range out of any team in the league, and the second highest percentage of points off of fast break opportunities. Phoenix is allowing the fourth most field goals from the mid range and at the fifth highest shooting percentage, but they do sit at fifth for fast break points allowed. Both these teams are also shooting the three ball pretty well. Minnesota is fourth for 3-point shooting percentage. Phoenix is fifth, but we saw the Mercury hitting the second most from deep per game so far this season. 40% of their points scored are coming from beyond the arc, and that leads the entire league. The thing with that is Minnesota is allowing just 33% shooting from deep. That puts them at about sixth in the W. Phoenix is sitting at second in the league, giving up just 27% shooting from deep and also allowing the fewest makes from three per outing. Minnesota does come into this one with a clean bill of health, and we did finally see Caleb McBride return as well. The Mercury are down both Natasha Mack and Kalia Copper, guys. Man, I miss watching Ka, man. I can't wait for her to return, but they are both still going to be out for several weeks, unfortunately. But even still, I think I like looking at the Mercury here with the points. I liked it more when it got up to 5. I wish I would have went ahead and took that, but I was like, kind of seems like that number's moving where I want it to move, right? I was kind of seeing how high it would get. Well, now we're going back in the opposite direction. But I like looking at the Mercury here. We saw a ton of money come in on the Lynx, but we've seen the Lynx play with their food too many times, man, for me to feel comfy laying points on the road with them right now. So they haven't played up to near their standard either defensively this season, and that I would expect from them, and that I know for a fact, without a doubt, that Coach Cheryl Reeve expects from them as well. So where Minnesota excels offensively is perimeter shooting, and I think Phoenix has shown me enough defensively in these opening stages to trust them to keep this one within a couple possessions. So I'll lean the Mercury catching these points. But yeah, it's one that I'm gonna keep watching this line, man, and see how it moves. If money, starts to pour in on the Lynx again, and we see that line start to reflect that, and we can get a better number for Phoenix again, and even catching it at 4.5. I'm kind of kicking myself for not taking that 4.5 for that 5. So hope we see that again, and then I'm gonna pounce on it. 3.5. I'm debating. I'm debating. For the total, 158.5 is low for sure. And even though I like Phoenix defensively in this one, I'm not sure that I can pull a trigger on an under here, but it's hard to look at it over with this Mercury defense and the pace that they look to play at. And then the Lynx are actually coming in lower pace wise, right, than Phoenix is. We see the Mercury at seventh in terms of pace, and then the Lynx are playing at the second slowest pace in the W right now. So I'm leaning under here, but much like the side, man, this is one that I'm going to wait out and see if we can get a more favorable number at this point. Then next up, we're looking at the Atlanta Dream taking on the Seattle Storm. This one opened up Storm -3. They are now up to 4. Total sitting at 158.5. It's another 10 p.m. tip-off time. Now, Seattle is back home here coming into this one off of a close loss to the Lynx in Minnesota. So they sit at 3-2 to open up the year. The Dream have been pretty solid, man, to start the year. 4-2 overall, winners of 3 straight, and this is going to be the second game of a 3-game road trip for Atlanta. I've been impressed with the Dream, man. Despite the injury to Jordan Canada, we've seen the Dream post a net rating of +5, good for fifth in the W, and that's one spot ahead of the Storm team, who comes in at +2.3. But even so, man, aside from the fever, this will be their toughest test of the year so far. And with that said, I think it may be a slightly tougher matchup, even. Atlanta has beat up on teams without an interior presence. We saw them do that against Indiana. But we've seen BG miss back to back games, and she's listed as a game time decision here as well. And then Seattle does have an interior presence, right? You got Neka Agumake, Ezzy Magbegor, uh, rookie Dominique Malanga, and you got former Spark Lee Uru out there as well. Atlanta's going to have to rely more on perimeter shooting in this one than they have so far. And that's the thing too, though, man. It's not like they aren't looking for their shot outside because they are. They just have been less effective in that regard. 'Cause they are attempting and making the third most three-pointers per game, but they're doing so at only a 32% conversion rate. That's just ninth in the W. Seattle is fifth in both three-pointers made and shooting percentage allowed by the opposition. Seattle is also a great team at home. So all things kind of point me to the Storm, right, in that direction. And that's where I went, guys. I caught that money line at 160 on Hard Rock. And with all that said, I would lean under in this one on account of that Seattle defense and some of the struggles that I'm anticipating from Atlanta offensively, especially if BG doesn't suit up for this one as well. The Dreams sit at just ninth in terms of pace. The Storm are dead last, playing at the slowest pace in the W so far. And both of these teams have given up less than 80 points per game on average to begin the year as well. So I'll look at it under, if anything, as far as the total is concerned in this one. Then our last game on the slate going to be the Los Angeles Sparks taking on the Las Vegas Aces. Got a little more line movement going on in this one. Aces opened up 9.5 point favorites. That has since dropped to 8.5. And that total is sitting at 164.5. We have a 10 p.m. tip-off time for this one as well. And we're going to see Vegas back at home here after a blowout loss to the Storm in Seattle. They are 2-2 to open up this season. They whooped up on the Sun, and then they utilized a come-from-behind rally to beat the up-and-coming Mystics. Then they lost by double digits to both Seattle and New York. Sparks sit at 2-4, and they've been pretty inconsistent and slightly disappointing to open up the season themselves, man. Expectations weren't like crazy high or anything, but I do think that most in and outside of the Sparks organization saw them at the least competing for a playoff spot this season. Um, Instead, it's beginning to look like the Sparks might just be like the best team of that lower tier, man, with losses to Atlanta, Phoenix, and Minnesota, and then their wins coming over the lowly Sky and expansion Valkyries. But even there, man, the Valkyries came into LA and beat these Sparks by 9. So LA was battling through some injuries, but they do at least have the services of Rakia Jackson back, but they're still going to be without Ray Burrell for an extended period of time. She's been out since the opener when she hurt her leg within the first minutes of action, unfortunately. Then Cam Brink is progressing along still, but she's expected to be out until at least June. Then the Aces kind of look the same as they have in that regard as far as the injury report, with Gustafsson and Parker Tyus both out indefinitely. I want to get behind the Aces here, man. I really, really do. But I mean, gosh, if you watch my videos dating back to last year, I feel like anytime I get behind these Aces and put some money on them, they don't come through for me, man. And man, look, they are the more talented team here on paper. End of the day, right? You know, they have one of, if not the best player in women's basketball in Asia Wilson. They know the Sparks' new leader and go-to scorer in Kelsey Plum pretty well. She's spent the last 6 seasons with the Aces. Now they got Jackie Young over there. They've got Joel Lloyd if she can get it going. They've got Chelsea Gray, who looked great and unrivaled. So ton of talent on that side of the ball. And they've also played just 4 games compared to the Sparks' 6 in the same amount of days, right? They come in with a 2-day rest advantage over LA, having 4 days off in between their last game and this one here. They've just been so up and down to open the year, man. They are back home. This feels like a good bounce back spot, but that's a lot of points to try to lay with them still, in my opinion, with what we've seen so far out of them. Wildly enough, LA is actually sitting above the Aces in terms of net rating, coming in at 7th, while Vegas sits at 9th. LA shot the ball better as well, 43% from the field. Vegas just 37%. That's second to last in the W. And the Sparks are now sitting with the highest three-point shooting percentage in the league as well at 38%. The Aces at 32%. They sit down at 8th. The Sparks are giving up more looks and makes from 3 than the Aces, but the Aces are lacking interior defense and have given up the most field goals from the inside the restricted area at the second highest shooting percentage in the W. So, all in all, I think that I like the Aces to win this game, man, but I think it's a closer game than the books anticipate, and I'd be leaning LA catching the points, but both these teams are so damn inconsistent that I don't think that I get anywhere with this one. I don't see myself betting on the side here. And then for the total, neither team is playing with a ton of pace, with Vegas coming in at 8th in that regard, and then LA at 11th. Both these offenses have been inconsistent, and both defenses are struggling to get stops. So I think it's going to be hard to look anywhere but an over for this one. But like I said, with the inconsistencies from the offense, it makes it hard, man. The over hit in the Aces last game out, and then 2 of the 4 that they played this season, while the Sparks have hit to the over in 3 of their 4, or 3 of their last 4. So I'll lean towards an over here, man. But all in all, with this game, I'm not sure that I can get anywhere with it. Now, guys, that is going to wrap it up. Like I said earlier in the video, no player props are out at all for any of these games. So once they become available, I will comb through those and I'll throw whatever I find that I like up onto the Guy Boston website. I'll even put up leans if I see some things that I like that I'm not sure I'm going to play. That way, you guys have a little bit of options. That's going to do it, man. Hope you guys enjoyed the video today. Hope you guys enjoyed the content and found it helpful and useful. And if you did, please don't forget to smash the like button down there and hit subscribe if you have not already. Well, you don't miss out on a thing that we're dropping over here daily on the Guy Boston Sports Channel. And it's all free. That's the beauty of it, man. And that's going to do it, man. Hope you guys all cash out. Hope you guys have a great night. See you back tomorrow.